What's up, Lemonheads? I'm Crystal, and I'm riding solo today in the podcast studio. Super excited to be talking about end of the year marketing and, marketers. Y'all, low-key, this is my jam time of the year. We're going to look deep into what we did last year, get prepared for next year, and we are going to be so prepared that it's going to knock your little yellow socks off, right? Let's do it. Let's sip some lemonade. All right, so some of y'all love this time of the year and some of you don't, and that's cool. And by this time of the year, I mean, yes, holidays. You know I love Jesus. Happy birthday, Jesus. But also, it is a time of reflection on all of our marketing, on all of our ad spend, all of the cool things that we were doing to generate revenue and retain customers, new customer acquisition, and building our brand in 2023. So let's jump into some things that we can do to really take a good look at how well did we actually do this year? How did we have good ROI? How do we have good ROAS, which is a new little fun acronym for some of you, return on ad spend, and how those things really can help us make a really solid plan for next year and also feel really good and feel really organized. So let's jump right on in. The very first thing that I like to do when I get a new client or potential new client, as soon as you call me, I act like you're mine. All of you are like little new pets that I get, and I just like love you, so I just assume that you're mine. But when I meet a potential new client for Lemon Seed, one of the first things I do is go back and look at the last full year as much as I can and just see what I see. Right? Put my little magnifying glass on and see what I see. And I'm going to tell you the majority of the time, you know what I see? An unbalanced approach. Most of the time I see where everyone's just vying for literal a dogfight to every single lead and not a lot of structure for a long-term strategy as far as just utilizing portions of your budget to build your brand and then utilizing portions of your budget to also drive call count, immediate call count, and then also cultivation of your existing database. And so I like to start with just a good overview of that. So first things first, let's pull a financial report. And that's two things. So literally go look and make sure what were you actually being charged for? If you're not, I love finances on a high level, right? So my accountant always says, Crystal, do you not check your receipt when you leave a restaurant? And I'm like, no, Kim, not all the time. Do I investigate that I was charged for every overpriced meal and extra appetizer that my kids ordered that they did not even eat all of their meal with? So, I don't always go inspect that, but I should, right? Because we need to be fiscally responsible for where we're spending money and how we're spending our dollars. So I encourage you to go pull a report that shows you everything that you've been billing towards your advertising and marketing budgets, just so we make sure that we're looking at the number and being able to bucket those spends to know what was the intent. For example, if I'm spending money on billboards, my intent is different than if I'm spending money on Facebook lead gen ads. The return expectations are different, right? But together they make up my overall marketing performance. And so those things are really important that we go look at those. So literally go pull it. Don't go off memory. Don't go off what you think you might know. Dig down in there and go print it and say, okay, I paid this company this amount of money, and pull your contracts. Pull your contracts and get those to where you can compare those two. And make sure, I told vendor Y that I was going to be paying this much. I was committing to this type of contract. And now I'm turning around and I see that I was billed differently or not the same, whatever that looks like for you. But do a little deep dive there. The other place you need to pull it is out of your CRM or CallRail or some way that you are hopefully tracking your marketing spend return. So I'm going to tell you, if you're here and you're on any of the CRMs that offer customer relationship management tools like ServiceTitan, FieldEdge, Sierra, any of those that offer a marketing dashboard, go dive into those and pull a year over year, this 2023 versus 2022, and look at your return on each of those tactics that you have tracking numbers for. Now I'm going to jump into this for a little bit. This is why I kind of lose my whole mind when people are like, well, I don't want to use tracking numbers because we don't look local. Yeah. So I hate to break it to the majority of you. It's not 1997, right? Where people were like, oh, so like I'm from Diboll, Texas. It's a little bitty town. You wouldn't even, if you saw the way it's Diboll. But you know what? If you don't have an 829 phone number like prefix, you're not calling anybody that lives in Diboll, right? That's old school way of thinking. People don't even look at phone numbers anymore. When I was first trying to get through college, I sold long distance, like not even a thing anymore, friends, right? Like not hardly a thing. So right now, what I like to remind everybody is people don't pay as much of attention as you think they do. Does the older population in rural East Texas know that when they dial a 936-229 number that they are not dialing? So they don't know anymore because phone numbers have become so not directly related to a certain area as much anymore. So I just encourage you to not get bogged down in that, because tracking numbers are literal gold. They're as close as we can get to directional ROI, return on my ad spend. Let me say it that way, return on my ad spend. So I really, really, really encourage you to spend time getting your tracking numbers at least implemented. For those of you that don't use tracking numbers, start today. CallRail, Conversa, Service, whatever you're using, but get those numbers set up. If you already have a few numbers set up, now is a really good time for you to go in and audit your tracking numbers and make sure, are they connected correctly? Do you have any calls to them? How do you make sure that they are labeled correctly? Put your spend in. Do all of those things so that you have as good of a foundation as you have going into 2024, right? So back to that. So now you've pulled out a QuickBooks or whatever software you're using for your financials. So you know what you actually spent on marketing dollars and advertising. Now you've pulled a report out of CRM to see what actual revenue was generated from those tactics. Now remember, you probably are not going to be able to say, I launched a billboard campaign and it generated X amount of dollars. What you can do is show the directional lift in the search of your actual name. The organic search of your name, meaning if you launch a really nice billboard campaign. So one billboard is not technically a billboard campaign. It's a billboard. It's not a billboard campaign, right? I think you got to have at least 2 or 3 billboards set up for it to really be considered a campaign. But I'll keep going here. So what I would say is, I launched this billboard campaign. I put 3 billboards up in January. Gradually, you should see that your name is being searched a little more and more from a concerted effort towards your branding. So you want more people searching your name. That's the least expensive lead. That's normally the most valuable lead. They're probably not price shopping. Like, they straight up just want you. They are calling your company. They're not going out there like perusing all the aisles of HVAC or plumbing contractors. They literally said, oh, that company, that's who I want. Let me search for them. Okay. So that gives us some directional read. So you should look through there and start classifying these calls ever these revenue numbers as you the best you can. Sorry, got a little tongue tied there, but the best you can. So I want to know, I spent $100,000 on direct mail. What did it generate? And then why did it generate that? So, again, I can get down in the weeds a little bit with some of this because, I went and said, okay, I spent $100,000 in direct mail so far this year. And I show that I've only made $30,000. Yeah, that's a humongous problem. Number one, you should have known before now that it wasn't performing. But really, now you've got to dig back. Now you need to go look at the call count. So is this a call count issue? Like literally the tactic was not generating the call count that you needed? Or were you not doing a good job? Was your team not doing a good job? So you got the call count, but we weren't able to convert. We weren't able to get them booked. We weren't able to get them sold when we got there. So if I'm advertising an $89 drain clearing special, and every time I turn around, I've got $89. Those are basically like $0 tickets. I don't know about you guys, but it would be really hard to roll a truck for $89, right? So I encourage you here, like it's a combination. We're basically doing a research project, right? So we're going to put all these things in front of ourselves so that collectively we make good decisions. So did this generate ROI? Okay, and if it did not, why did it not? Was it a lead problem or was it an operational problem? I remind you, even good marketing cannot serve as a Band-Aid for bad operations. If anything, good marketing accentuates bad operations. So what will happen is you will end up with the best of intentions causing yourself more heartache. Yes, you got more leads, but you're not doing anything with the leads that you got. Okay. Also, another thing that I would pull is a new customer acquisition report. So pull and see how many new customers did you add this year? Okay, how many new customers did you add this year? Use your CRM to pull that report. And then those of you that can get deeper than that, then where did the majority of those new customers come from? Right? So new customers, hopefully it's a good mix, but a lot of times you're going to see that those are mostly coming off of the digital side of your plan. But where? Ideally, you'd love to know like as deep as you can of where. So digital paid ads, digital in general is a very broad term, but it's closer than I don't know where these new customers came from. And a lot of you are sitting there thinking word of mouth. All my customers come from word of mouth. They might. And the good news is what got you, well, it's not great news, but the bad news is what got you here will not get you there. So if you look up and all of your leads are from your legacy phone number, then your paid ad strategy, your paid strategy for getting new customers to call your companies did not work. And you need to reevaluate it. So if you have no new customers that you can't attribute to any of your paid strategy, and it's all from your legacy number that you've had for 30 years, yeah, we're not doing something right. And we need to go back to the drawing board and figure this out. So ideally, we are generating a healthy mix of new customers every single time. So that's the first thing we're going to do is get all those financial things in front of us, okay? Get them in front of us, get them digestible, right? So don't overwhelm yourself. This just is like literally a research project. You're going to really start because I wish that things could be super directional, but they're just not, right? And a lot of PE companies that we've seen or that we're working with, private equity companies, what they're doing is they're dialing everything to digital. Do you want me to tell you why? It is the most readable way. It's the most direct way that I can see money in, money out. But I want to remind you guys, you have to stay diligent with your branding. So it kind of leads me into the second thing that I would do is now that you know what you spent and where you spent it actually based off actual numbers and not just a plan, what you actually did, I would build out these 3 buckets. We did Juiced yesterday, which Juiced is our monthly group coaching, we call it. It's $199 a month if you're not on plan with Lemon Seed, but it is basically a coaching call where we talk about getting ready for the next month. And so Ashley Maxon, who is our lead account manager here on the Lemon Seed team, she actually led that and did a fantastic job yesterday leading that because she's in the thick of this right now. And so she and I talked about this, but one of the most important things that I think we can do as contractors, I am a very visual person. And so I literally, in my mind, bucket my advertising spend. So when I look on there and I'm like, okay, I have 3 buckets. One is for branding, one is for calls to action, and one is for my existing customer base. So I call that memorable, discoverable, and fosterable. Those are the 3 terms that I use. So in that memorable bucket, where did I spend money this past year, 2023, to stay memorable, to stay top of mind in my market? What did I do to do that? Was it community involvement? Was it social media, cool posting? Was it a billboard campaign? Did I do new TV commercials? What all did I do to just stay cool, right? Just stay top of mind, disrupt my market. And a lot of times, guys, I don't have a directional ROI from it. But the goal of that was literally working the long-term aspect of staying top of mind with my community. Okay, so yes, I'm in the Christmas parade, and yes, I sponsored Santa's letters to kids, and I also have 7 billboards that are up, and I did some digital radio, got a new jingle. All of those things need to go into this memorable bucket because those are all things that I did to remain top of mind. Okay. Second of all, my second bucket, the intent of the tactic was to be discoverable, right? So how can people find me to use my services? So these are things like SEO. So if you have a website right now that you are not paying for SEO services, I don't know why you got a website. Straight up. just a landing page. Well, the last I checked, I don't just go peruse through plumbing websites at night looking for things to do, right? Something's got to take me there. I need a vehicle. I need something that motivates me to go actually onto the site. So SEO is search term driven, right? So you need to work with a company that will help you get SEO in place, and then hit the gas, guys. Like, hit the gas on SEO, because it is like a good, so I'm from Texas, so we like to barbecue or like cook outside. So my husband came, we had our leadership retreat. My husband came and cooked steaks. And the reason that I absolutely adored them is because he uses a marinade, and he marinated it the night before, because you want to know why? The longer it sits, the better it gets, right? So same thing with SEO. The longer we're there and we are intentional and we are actively working on key terms and phrases, the richer and better our SEO strategy gets. So that spend that you're paying for the SEO side of your website is a discoverable tactic. So are your paid ads. They're responsive to search term. AC repair near me. Okay. All of those things are in that discoverable bucket. Right? So you can see the difference. I should be able to see clicks, impressions, and calls versus my billboard. I cannot see exactly who drove by my billboard at 85 miles an hour and then called my phone number, because they're probably going to call my website number, right? So I have to know that memorable bucket, I got to kind of know that, like, I'm taking that for the team, okay? So then I've got that discoverable bucket, like, that's where I can really, a lot of times, like, see, I spent this and I made this, right? It's a lot more pleasing to the accounting eye when you are in that discoverable bucket, okay? But, like, direct mail is a good thing to put in there. And I use the word discoverable because it's a broad term, but that direct mail makes it makes people have an immediate, we're asking for an immediate response. Call today to claim your $89 tune-up, okay? Those things are why you need to stay in that discoverable bucket, okay? Also, cultivating or fosterable is my third bucket. Now, a lot of you, so it's really strange. It's really strange. So I'm going to use this example. Like, I'm a social kind of girl. I know y'all are shocked by that. If you've ever been to any conference that Lemon Seed is at, the last thing we are not is sociable. We're all up and everywhere, right? Because we love it. We love people. We love the engagement. If you do disc profile, I'm a high I. Rachel, our podcast director, is also a high I. She and I could sit down here and talk about a lot of things, get not anything done because we're chatting. But we also are the life of the party a lot of times because we love the social aspect, right? So when we're talking about clients, a lot of times I have social people that are so hungry for the new socialization, the new customer, that they forget about the people that already became their friends. We're so busy trying to make new friends that we forget about our existing friendships, right? So that's where that fosterable comes in. And that's why we have to have that third bucket. How are we getting new people? And how are we keeping the ones that we get? Because remember, anytime you look at anybody in your database, it costs you, I don't know, somewhere between $300 and $600 a lot of times to get those people in your database. So the more we can get out of them over time, the more that spend was not in vain, right? The more it's easier to swallow these harder, larger budgets when we can get into cultivating them for years to come. Okay, so that fosterable bucket means that we are developing slowly but surely a fosterable list of our internal database that we can remarket to very consistently. So I'm thinking, guys, this is like I send a Christmas card, a happy Thanksgiving card, a happy New Year card, a tangible, actual in the mail, pretty glossy print newsletter twice a year. I also have them in my email campaigns, or I'm using Chirp as an automation tool. I'm using Email Marketing Pro through Service Titan to consistently market to them and celebrate their equipment's anniversary. I have to pay attention to those people in that bucket, to those tactics. So what are you spending money on that is helping you have fosterable relationships with your clients? So remember, that first bucket's over there. It's the hardest one to track. It's what we're doing just to be the cool kid on the block, right? The coolest Christmas float. We're giving out turkeys. We're doing bingos at nursing homes. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And we've got billboards, lots of things that are hard to track. Wraps, things like that, vehicle wraps. Then we got the middle bucket where that's our discoverable side, right? So you're putting things in that bucket that are meant to be immediately calls to action. Facebook ads, PPC, GLSA, so pay-per-click, Google Local Service ads. Also, like I said, direct mail, no matter what the direct mail is, unless it's distinctly prospecting, it needs to be prospecting mail, because if you're mailing your existing customers, then you're over here in the fosterable bucket. So I'm talking about direct mail that goes to get new customers. So you sending a maintenance reminder postcard is not direct mail. That's not going to generate us any new customer acquisition, new replacements, new memberships. That's over there in that fosterable bucket, and it barely goes there because it's really designed to make people call in and schedule. It's not really intended to upsell. So those are my 3 buckets that I really encourage you to then segment everything into. Okay, so now you should be looking at actuals that you spent, actually how they returned, and then you've categorized things into these 3 buckets. Now we're going to start like doing our due diligence on a couple of things. So on your website company, what I would encourage you to do is ask for an overall annual audit of your website. So Lemon Seed, I'm always going to tell you that I prioritize SEO. So our digital companies that we work with, because remember, Lemon Seed is not a digital company. We do not do websites. We do not do paid ads. We are a graphic design, branding, strategy, content creating company. So when you go work with your digital company, so let's use like Rival Digital. We love Eric and his team at Rival Digital. I would ask Rival, let's do an audit of overall how my website's performing right now. Where did I start for SEO? Where have I gained over the year? Where have I moved up in ranking for organic search? Where are you seeing traffic from? And then guess what? We're going to ask them, where do you see the biggest area that I could improve or add budget to for 2024? Because we're going to consult the experts in their field, right? I'm not going to call a social media specialist to tell me about a PPC strategy. Those people have different skill sets. Okay, so you're going to reach out to your digital provider, start there, ask them for an overall audit of your website. How is it performing? If they're doing your directories or your citations, like Yext listings, go ahead and ask for a clean report of those. How have those been going? Are those taken care of? And then you also can ask them for, how rich are your backlinks and things like that. Like, how good did you do? How much did you improve in 2023? And then ask for the same style of audit on your paid ad strategy. So we've been running Facebook ads all year, or a PPC campaign, or geofencing, geo-targeting, retarget, whatever you've been doing, friends. I would ask that vendor to show you where you started and where you are now. Now, friends, if you have digital providers that can't provide this, that's a red flag. I also highly encourage you to make sure that you're owning everything is yours. Content is yours. Now, if you're going to call a digital company and ask them for all of their content, then you're using their content, okay? But if you're going to provide content and all of that to your provider, your digital vendor partner, then by all means, friends, like get it going on, right? Like make sure that you own these things so that you have access to these things. But at the end of the day, the pivoting and the strategy for the digital side of your business needs to be a combination of your strategist, like someone like Lemon Seed, along with your digital partner, okay? So again, I encourage you to get all of those readings. Some of you may have let's say you're working with your TV station. So you've got like a TV and they also are doing some digital. They need to pony up. Well, how did this work? How did it perform? Where did we start? How did we grow? Get them to answer questions for you. Okay, so request that from them. Also on your direct mail, request a matchback report if possible. And a matchback report on your direct mail means, hey, you're asked, this is your literal question to the direct mail company. Hey, do you have a matchback report? You normally have to give them access to your CRM so that they can go in. So what a matchback report's going to do is say, hey, we mailed these 7,000 people, and of these 7,700 of them are now in your database. So the direct mail company can say, we're going to take partial credit because these 700 people were not in your database at the beginning of the year. They were new customers in this year, and maybe they called from your website or maybe they called from your social media, but they also got your mail. So it played a part, right, of the story. So all of your vendors that are providing things for you need to show you results. They need to share with you what the results are. Then it allows you pivoting room, right? So Ask for billboards. People are, how do you do that for billboards? Ask them for a count. Ask them when the last time the board was maintenance. To ask them to send you an updated picture. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. Just let them know that you're looking. Squeaky wheels get the grease, friends, right? So if you just sit back and, I mean, I literally have clients right now that'll say, I haven't talked to my digital vendor in like 3 years. Excuse me, sir, absolutely not. No, sir, we are not going to do that. Or that, well, I've had that same billboard up for like 2 years. No, it has lost all impact at this point. Like, now we need to do something a little different. We need to, has the call count changed? So like, did the Department of Transportation in your state rework the road system? Like, so we're getting a loop around our little town. So if that happens, then that's going to change the traffic count of your billboards. So then that should impact, maybe it should impact the spend on the billboard. Maybe you want to move to a different billboard. It just depends on what comes back. So ask those people for those. Get each of your vendors to provide you with reports and analytics and where they can answer things. And then if you're able to, share with them the revenue that you generated. That revenue number is powerful. It's a powerful number. Okay, so now that you have your data gathered, now you literally start plugging and playing away at numbers. So how did this perform? How did this not perform? What do we need to do? But literally like a research project, right? You've got it all in front of you. The other thing that I encourage you guys to do is do a little audit on your CRM. So, hey, I'm with Field Edge, and I want to look through there and make sure that am I utilizing everything that they have for me to utilize? Am I paying for things that I don't need to be paying for, or am I paying for things that I've just been too lazy to activate? Dig deep down in those things. Remember, trash in, trash out. So are you holding your team accountable for age of equipment? What about for email addresses? What about for review generation? Right? What about dispatching for profit? Are you doing all of those things? And what can you do to make them better? Okay. The other thing that we can look at is what offers did you have last year that maybe you can reiterate or update, or like, that was a disaster, we'll never do that again. You know what? Like the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So some of you are just a little scaredy pants of doing anything abnormal because of the what ifs. We can't live in the what ifs because we'll what if ourselves out of a good idea, right? So we've got to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more, sorry, this is my non-Jesus-y word. Like, we got to get a little ballsy, right? People are like, well, why does this? These people are offering $5,000 off, and these people are doing this. And well, you know why? Because they're just ballsy. Like, they're just shooting things out there. So you got to make the best of intentions, right? So if I'm going to run a 0% for 36 months, I know I'm literally going to get taken to the bank on buy down. Not really anything I would suggest, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it very intentionally, and I'm going to own that I'm the home of 0% for 36 months. Like right now, that gives me heart palpitations. Friends, like, your buy down's too high. You don't need to be doing it. There's better ways to do it. But some of you are just like, oh yeah, it's so different than what everybody else is offering. But yeah, so let's just get a little bit intentional. Think about things in your market that you're seeing other people do, and don't do that. Because, what do they call it? Not intimidate. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So the minute you come out with a good idea, three of your competitors will too. So that's why you have to be prepared for the year. Like, get some cool stuff. Like, give a gift with purchase. Do a cool rebate offer. Do like guarantee next day installs. Like, what are some things that you can do to really ramp up yourself for 2024? Push your limits. Get creative, and because if you're not being creative and you're just like boring things and we're never throwing things out there, listen, do not live your life by the one person that might get mad that they didn't get a TV. Like, give them a credit. Just get out of the situation most of the time. But those are like the things that I always like to start with, right? The other thing that's very important is utilizing a budget, friends. Like, don't just go, well, I did 1.5 this year, I'm going to do 2.5 next year. Because let me tell you, without a plan, it's just words. Like, just a dream, right? It's just a thought in your head. It's not a plan. Stop calling it a plan. You didn't make a plan. You made a budget. Now we've got to make a plan to hit the budget. Okay. So what I need you to look at is average tickets and segment it down as close as you can. Average residential service ticket, average maintenance service ticket, average sales ticket. And, you'll look up and realize like, gosh, why do my guys sell so many partial equipments? Why can I not sell more repipes? Why can I not sell more tankless water heater? Like there's all these things that we need to have true KPIs, key performance indicators in front of us so that we can know how we're going to hit that number. So then you're going to have this budget and you're going to have this call count that says, I need to generate this many calls. And then you look at your budget and go, well, this is how I'm going to get there. All of it is your best made plan, friends. All of it is the best approach that you can come up with for your company. You know your technicians better, but let me tell you, we let them off so easy. I was even talking about this with Lemon Seed. Like, a lot of solutions come out of a pain point, right? A lot of things are fine-tuned and created and justified after a pain point has happened. So right now, there has got to be some accountability on your team's side to get those average tickets up and get the calls booked. And if you have girls, CSRs, girls, guys, whomever, that's booking your service Titan call, booking your calls in your CRM, and they're booking at a 50% rate, again, here comes my Texan Southern mama. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. 50% booking rate is terrible. And more than that, do y'all know how much it is costing you for them to be operating at a 50% booking rate? A ton of money. We are having to work you are double spending what you should be spending on marketing when they're booking that low. So what happens is we as contractors, naturally, we want to come for the vendor. The vendor, this sucks. We're not making any money. Well, friend, look to the left because you keep looking to the right and the problem is with the left. But you don't know that until you start establishing some touch points, right? Start establishing some benchmarks is a better word. Benchmarks so that you can go and say, why is Carol gone for 2 hours right in the middle of this day? Or why is this efficiency so down? Why are we not booking any calls between 4 and 6 p.m.? You know why? Because your team's checking out, not booking the calls. But then you're mad over here because you didn't meet call count for the day, but then the phone rang. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can really get into this jumbled mess. So your job as an owner, as a manager, is to look at everything in its entirety. So you're looking at what you spent. You're looking at what you did. What was the marketing supposed to do? What was I operationally supposed to do? And then how do I formulate a plan for next year? Those things are just very important when really making a good plan for the year of next year. You feel really good. Now, listen, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. It's a plan, right? You know what happens? Things like COVID happen, or God forbid, like a team member that super leaves or passes away, or you have to fire somebody. CSRs go down, phone systems go down, people can't get finance, the economy tanks. A new competitor opens up. All of these things are outside factors that we always can't control, but we have a plan. And if you don't have a plan to deviate from it, you can't say you're deviating because you never had anything to deviate from, right? So it needs to be a documented, written plan that you put in place. So guys, let me tell you what can happen. You can win 2024. You will win 2024 being intentional and being powerful and paying attention to your company. And that means probably being a lot more present. For some of you, you need to be more present. For some of you, you need to be more ballsy. For some of you, you need to back up and let people do their job. You're micromanaging. Like, we all fall into these different categories. But one thing that I know is with intentionality and with realistic expectations, we can win 2024. So don't give up. Get going. Be prepared. The early bird gets the worm. So get prepared, get scheduled now. Hey, and listen, if you are a Lemon Seed client, we really hope that we're going to get to see you at our Lemon Seed conference coming up at the end of January 2024. Hey, and if you're not a Lemon Seed client and you would love to hear more about our Lemon Seed conference because you kind of want to come, visit us at hello@lemonseedmarketing.com. Shoot me an email that says, Crystal, I want to know more about your conference. And I'll kind of hook you up only because you're listening to the podcast. Because really, it's for our customers, people that have trusted us all year long or the majority of the year. And we love to bring them here because, guys, we have a fun few days planned. It is not overly produced. I'm not bringing in some rap star. It is very simplistic and intimate event meant for networking and growing and visiting with each other. And I absolutely cannot wait to hug each of your necks that are going to be there. Also, you know how you can help us? If you love From the Yellow Chair, we would absolutely adore some good reviews, some 5-star reviews, some recommendations. Please share our podcast episodes into your groups or onto your personal page. Share it with people that are on your team. Emily and I we've been doing this for over 100 episodes now. Really just sharing our hearts about home service marketing and branding and how you can do it and how you may not have to be the one that physically is doing it, that's tangibly making decisions, but gosh, you can be informed and you can know what's going on and you can use marketing to change your life and change the life of your technicians. And so, you know what? It is a great day to be a lemon head. So thank you for listening to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please go leave us a review. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.